My name is Haley. I am 38 years old. I live in a beautiful house in the suburbs. The house has 4 bedrooms. It has a big garden. The garden has green grass and a row of rose bushes along the fence. Everything is clean. Everything is in its place. I have a husband. His name is Michael. We got married 10 years ago. I was 28. He was 32. We had a nice wedding. White flowers. A white dress. My mother cried. Michael smiled. It was a good day. Now we live in this house. Every morning I wake up at 6. I go to the kitchen. I start the coffee. The coffee maker makes a hissing sound, then a dripping sound, then it stops. I pour 1 cup for Michael and 1 cup for me. Michael's coffee is black. No sugar, no milk. I remember this. I always remember this. I make breakfast. 2 eggs for Michael, toast, orange juice from a carton. I put the food on the table. Then I go to the bedroom. I take his shirt from the closet. I iron it. I press it flat. No wrinkles. The iron is heavy and hot. It makes a steam sound. Psh. I move it slowly. Left, right, left, right. Michael comes to the kitchen. He looks at his phone. He eats. He says, "Thanks." He picks up his bag. He goes to the door. He says, "See you tonight." Then he is gone. I clear the table. I wash the dishes. I put them back in the cupboard. Then I clean the kitchen. Then the living room. Then the bathrooms. The house has to be perfect. I want it to be perfect. I do not know why. Maybe because it is the only thing I can control. Michael works in the city. He is a manager at a big company. He has a team of 12 people. He makes good money. We have a nice car, a black one, clean, new. We have 2 TVs. We have a big couch. Everything is nice. People think we are lucky. In the evenings, Michael comes home late. Sometimes at 7, sometimes at 8, sometimes later. He comes in. He puts his bag down. He looks at his phone. He eats. He is quiet. I ask him, "How was your day?" He says, "Fine. Busy." Then he goes to his office room. He has a room just for work. He closes the door. I hear nothing after that. I eat alone at the big dining table. The table has 6 chairs. We only use 2. But tonight, I use 1. I eat my food. I look at the wall. I hear the sound of my fork on the plate. The house is big. The house is clean, but it is cold. I watch TV after dinner. I watch cooking shows. I watch home decoration shows. I watch other people's lives on the screen. Then I go to bed. Michael comes to bed late. I am already almost asleep. He gets in. He turns away. We do not talk. I lie in the dark. I listen to his breathing. I tell myself, this is normal. Many couples are like this. We are not young anymore. We have a real life now. Bills, a mortgage, adult things. Love is not always like in the movies. I tell myself this. I had other dreams before. When I was in my 20s, I loved art. I painted. I made things with my hands. I went to a community art class every Wednesday night. I loved it. The smell of paint, the feel of a brush, making something from nothing. But then Michael said we needed to be practical. He said art was a hobby, not a life. I agreed. He was right. We needed money. We needed a good home. So I put away my brushes. I put away my paints. I put away that part of me. I became a good wife, a good homemaker. I told myself this was enough. But sometimes, late at night, when the house was very still, I felt it. A small feeling, like a door somewhere in my chest, locked and forgotten. I did not open it. I just walked past it. Every day, I told myself, this is just life. It was a Friday. I was in the kitchen. I was making vegetable soup. Carrots, celery, onion. The smell was warm and thick. The pot bubbled softly. I had a wooden spoon in my hand. Then I heard the front door. I looked at the clock on the microwave. It said 3:14 p.m. I looked again. 3:14. Michael never came home at 3:14 p.m. I put down the spoon. I went to the hallway. Michael was at the door. His jacket was open. His tie was loose, hanging to one side. His hair was not neat. His face was white. He looked like someone who did not sleep for days. He did not look like the man in the nice suit. He did not look like a successful manager. He looked broken. "Michael," I said. "What's wrong? Are you sick?" He did not answer me. He walked past me. He went into the living room. His steps were heavy and slow. He did not put down his bag carefully. He just let it drop on the floor. Then he sat down. Not on the big gray couch, on the floor. He sat on the floor. He put his hands over his face. Then he cried. He came home crying. He sat on the floor and cried. I stood there. I did not move for a moment. I watched him. I never saw Michael cry before. Not once in 10 years. I went to him. I sat on the floor next to him. I put my hand on his back. "Michael, hey, talk to me. What happened? Did something happen at work?" He shook his head. He kept crying. "Michael, please, you're scaring me." He looked up. His eyes were red, wet. His face looked old. He said, "Haley, I did something bad. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I thought maybe he made a bad business decision. Maybe he lost a client. Maybe he got in trouble at the office." I said, "Okay, tell me. We can fix it." He took a breath. He wiped his face with his sleeve. Then he told me. Her name was Tracy. She was 26. He met her at a work event 2 years ago. He said they became close. He said he gave her money because she had problems. She said she needed help. He gave her money from a bank account I did not know about. A secret account. He put money there for 2 years. Then Tracy said she had a big problem. She needed a lot of money. He gave her his savings. All of it. A large amount. He told me the number. My hands went cold. Then Tracy stopped answering his calls. She did not reply to his messages. Her apartment was empty. She was gone. She took the money and she disappeared. He cried because of her. Not because of me. Not because of 10 years. Not because of our quiet dinners or our big cold house. He cried because she left him. He cried because he lost his money. I sat very still. I waited for something. I waited for fire inside me. I waited for my hands to shake. I waited for words to come out of my mouth. But nothing came. I felt nothing. I was empty. Like a glass with no water, clean and empty. I did not scream. I did not throw the soup pot. I did not shout words that I could not take back. I only said, "How long?" He said, "2 years." I nodded. I stood up. My legs felt strange, but my face was calm. I walked to the bedroom. Michael followed me. He stood at the door. "Haley, please, we can talk about this. I made a mistake. I know I made a mistake. Don't go. Please." I went to the closet. I took out my small black bag, the one I use for weekend trips. I put in 3 shirts, 2 pairs of pants, my gray sweater, socks, and underwear. I went to the bathroom. I took my toothbrush, my face wash, my moisturizer, the green bottle from Target. I packed my phone charger. My hands did not shake. Not once. Michael was still talking. His voice was wet and desperate. "I love you. I know I hurt you. But we can start again. We can go to counseling. We can talk to someone." I zipped the bag. I carried it to the front door. I put my house key on the table by the door, the small wooden table where we put our mail. I took off my ring. I put the ring next to the key. Michael came to the hallway. He said my name again, "Haley." I looked at him, just for a moment. He was still crying. He was still the same man. But I did not know him. I opened the front door. I stepped outside. The air was cool. The rose bushes were still there along the fence, pink and yellow. I walked to my car, my small old car, the one I used for groceries. I drove away. I did not look in the mirror. I found an apartment on Maple Street. It was on the 3rd floor. The elevator was broken. The stairs were narrow. The walls in the hallway were a dull yellow. The paint was old and chipping in the corners. The apartment was small, very small. 1 main room, a tiny kitchen along one wall, a bathroom with a shower, no tub. The window in the main room looked at a brick wall. There was no garden, no rose bushes, no big gray couch. The landlord showed me the room. He was a quiet old man. He pointed to the window. He said, "Good natural light in the morning." I looked at the brick wall. I said, "I'll take it." I moved in with my 1 bag. The apartment is small. It has 1 room, but it is mine. Only mine. The first week, I did not do much. I sat on the floor. I did not have chairs yet. I bought a sleeping bag from a Walmart down the road. I ate crackers and canned beans. I heated the beans on the small stove. I ate from the can. At night, I could not sleep. I lay in the sleeping bag and looked at the ceiling. There was a brown water stain on the ceiling, a big round one. I looked at it for a long time. I cried every night that week. I cried for my years. 10 years. 10 years of soup and ironed shirts and quiet dinners. 10 years of waiting for Michael to look up from his phone. 10 years of fine. I thought those years were building something. I thought we were building a life together, but we were not. I cried for the art I put away, my brushes, my colors, all the Wednesdays I gave up, all the things I told myself I did not need. I cried until there was nothing left, and then I fell asleep. In the 2nd week, I had to go to the grocery store. I had almost no food. I walked 2 blocks to the Kroger on 5th. It was a Tuesday morning. The store was quiet, mostly older people. I got a basket. I walked through the aisles slowly. I looked at prices. I had some money of my own, a small savings account that Michael did not know about. Not much, but something. I bought eggs, bread, apples, a box of pasta, a jar of marinara sauce, a small bag of coffee beans. I paid at the register. The cashier was a young woman with a short ponytail. She scanned my things fast. She said, "You got a rewards card?" I said, "No." She said, "Okay, your total is $11.42. I paid." She put my things in a bag. She said, "Have a great day." I said, "You too." I picked up my bag and walked out. I walked home. I cooked pasta. I ate it at the small table I bought secondhand from a neighbor down the hall. I ate alone. The fork made a small sound on the plate. The silence was different here. In Michael's house, the silence felt like a weight on my chest. It was heavy. It pressed down. It was the silence of two people who had nothing left to say. This silence was different. It was light, a little lonely, but it was honest. Nobody was hiding anything in this silence. Slowly, I learned. I called the landlord when the heater made a bad noise. I paid my bills online. I figured out the bus route to the pharmacy. Small things. Adult things I never had to do before because Michael handled them, or I was afraid to try. One morning, I looked in the bathroom mirror. The light was not good. The mirror was small, but I saw myself clearly. A 38-year-old woman, tired eyes, dry lips, dull skin. I looked at that woman for a long time. Then I said, out loud, to the mirror, "Not like this." My voice was quiet, but I meant it. I washed my face with cold water. I put on my shoes. I went outside. I started to walk every day. Walking was good. It was free. It helped the heavy feeling in my chest. I walked different streets. I looked in shop windows. I watched people. One afternoon, I walked on Pine Street. It was a quiet street with small shops. A coffee place, a flower shop, a used bookstore with a box of books outside for $1. Then I saw a window. Behind the glass were shelves with cups and bowls and small vases. They were not perfect. They were round and simple and a little uneven. But they were beautiful, honest, real. There was a sign in the window. It said, "Pottery for beginners. Start any Monday. Walk-ins welcome." The door was open. I stopped. I looked inside. There were long tables with pottery wheels. There was clay on the tables. The room smelled like wet earth and something clean. A man stood near one of the wheels. He was tall. He had a calm face, dark hair with some gray. He had clay on both hands. He looked up and saw me at the door. He said, "Hey, can I help you?" I said, "I saw your sign about the class." He wiped his hands on his apron. He said, "Yeah, my name's Josh. I run this place. You looking to try pottery?" I said, "Maybe. I don't know. I used to do art a long time ago, but not pottery." He said, "That's fine. Everyone starts somewhere. You want to try right now? I have a few minutes." I said, "Okay." He gave me a small piece of clay, soft, cool, like damp earth. He showed me how to press it, how to push from the center, how to move my hands in and out. I tried. My hands were too stiff. The clay leaned to one side. It went flat. It did not do what I wanted. I said, "Sorry. I'm not good at this." Josh said, "That's normal. Clay has its own way. You just keep going, and it starts to listen." I pressed the clay again. I tried to center it. My hands were wet and dirty, and then something happened. Something quiet and strange. When my hands were in the clay, my head went still. No voice telling me I failed. No picture of Michael on the floor. No big cold house. No ring on the table. Just my hands. And this soft, living thing under them. I signed up for the Monday class that day. I went every Monday after that. The first cup I made leaned badly to the left. The bottom was thick and uneven. Josh looked at it and said, "Not bad for a first try." I laughed. It was the first real laugh I had in weeks. It surprised me. It surprised Josh, too. He smiled. In the class, there were other women. One was named Sue. She was 44. She had 2 kids. She was going through a divorce, too. She had a big laugh and short red hair. One was named Pat. She was 51. She came to the class after she retired from her nursing job. She was quiet but very funny when she talked. We drank coffee between classes, paper cups from the small machine in the corner. We talked about our lives, about the hard parts and the small good parts, about our work and our kids and our troubles. Real talk, not polite talk. I started to feel less alone. My hands are dirty, but my heart is clean. When I make pottery, I am free. I made more cups, then small bowls. After 2 months, my cups stood straight. They were even. I learned to open the clay, to pull the walls up thin. I learned to feel the clay, not just push it. One evening, Josh came to look at my work. He looked at 3 cups on the shelf. He turned them in his hands. He said, "These are really good, Haley. Seriously." I looked at the cups. They were mine. I made them from nothing, from a piece of gray clay. They were not perfect, but they were real. Sue said, "You should sell these. I'd buy one." I said, "Really?" Pat said, "Me too." One Saturday morning, I put a small table at the craft market on Center Street, 3 cups and 2 bowls. I stood next to my table. My hands were shaking a little. I felt silly. Who was going to buy my cups? A woman stopped. She was maybe 50. She wore a blue coat. She picked up one of my cups. She turned it slowly. She said, "Did you make this yourself?" I said, "Yes." She said, "I love it. The shape, the color. How much?" I told her the price. She said, "I'll take 2. I held the money in my hand. It was not a lot, but I made it. With my hands, with clay, and time, and Mondays. That night, I sat at my small table in my small apartment. I was tired. My hands were sore. But I felt something I did not feel in a long time. I felt real. Josh and I started talking more after the classes. He closed up the studio around 7. Sometimes I stayed to clean my wheel. We talked while I cleaned. About pottery. About the neighborhood. About books. He did not say big, important things. He just listened. He looked at me when I talked. He did not check his phone. I started to feel something. Small and new. Very careful. I was not ready for anything big. And that was okay. I was not in a hurry. 6 months went by. My pottery got better every week. I sold at the craft market most Saturdays now. I had regular customers. A woman who bought a new mug every month. A man who bought bowls as gifts. Small but real. I paid my rent. I paid my bills. I bought good coffee beans. I put a small plant on my windowsill. A succulent. Green and stubborn. One Tuesday afternoon, I was at the studio. The wheel was turning. The clay was wet. I was working on a new bowl. Wide and low. I was focused on the walls. They had to be even. Then I heard the door. I looked up. Michael stood at the door of the studio. He looked older. His face was thin. His gray jacket was a little too big on him now. His eyes were tired. I stopped the wheel. Josh was in the back room. I heard the sound of his wheel still turning. Michael walked toward me. Slowly. He stopped a few feet away. He said, "Haley, I looked for you for a long time." I said nothing. I took a cloth and wiped my hands. He said, "Can we talk? Please. Just 5 minutes." I said, "Okay." He sat on a wooden stool near the door. I stood by my wheel. He started. He said he was sorry. He said it many times. He said he was wrong. He said he was stupid. He said the house was empty without me. He said he could not sleep. He said he thought about me every day. Then he started to cry. Again. He cried again. I looked at him. I looked at this man. I waited. I waited for anger to come. I waited for the old love to return. I waited for something to move inside me. But nothing came. I look at him. I wait for anger. I wait for love. But I feel nothing. I only feel pity. He wiped his eyes. He said, "Come home, Haley. Please. The house is still our house. I got help. I'm seeing a therapist. I am changing. I can change. Please come back." He looked at my hands. He looked at the studio around him. He said, "You can do this here or at home. I'll make you a studio room. A real one, with good light. Everything you need." I listened to all of it. I did not speak. I let him finish. Then I said, "Michael." He stopped. He looked at me. I said, "You came home that day crying. But you cried for her. You cried for your money. You cried because she left you. You did not cry for me. Not once. Not for our 10 years. Not for our marriage. Not for me." He opened his mouth. I said, "Let me finish." He closed it. I said, "For 10 years I was in that house. I cooked your food. I cleaned your rooms. I ironed your shirts every single morning. I put away my dreams. I put away my hands, my art, my colors. I put away everything that was me. Because I thought that was what love was." My voice was calm. I was not crying. I was not angry. I was just clear, like water. I said, "But it was not love. You were not there. You were never really there. And I was a good housewife. I was a good housekeeper. But I was not your wife." "Not really." He said, "That's not true. I loved you. I still love you." I said, "Maybe, but the Haley you loved was the one who ironed your shirts and asked no questions. That Haley is gone. She left with a small black bag 6 months ago." He looked at me for a long time. Then he said, very quietly, "Is there someone else?" I looked back at him. I said, "No, there is just me." And I meant it. Not in a sad way, not in an angry way, in a real way, a full way. There was just me. And me was enough. More than enough. Michael stood up. He looked at the cups on the shelf. He looked at the wheel. He looked at my hands. Then he looked at my face. He said, "Take care of yourself, Haley." I said, "You too, Michael." He walked to the door. He pushed it open. He stepped outside. The door closed behind him. I stood still for a moment. The studio was quiet. The afternoon light came through the big front window. It made long yellow stripes on the floor, on the shelves, on my cups. Then I heard Josh come in from the back room. He looked at me. He said, "You okay?" I said, "Yeah, I am." He looked at me for one more second. Then he nodded. He went back to his wheel. He did not ask me anything else. I liked that. I sat back down at my wheel. I put water on the clay. I started the wheel again. The spin was slow at first, then faster. The clay opened under my hands. I thought about Michael, about the big house, about the gray couch, about the 6-chair table, about the ring I left on the wooden table by the front door. Then I stopped thinking about it. I thought about Monday classes, about Sue's big laugh, about Pat's quiet jokes over paper cups of coffee, about the woman in the blue coat who said, "I love it," about the small green plant on my windowsill, about this wheel, this clay, these hands. The bowl opened wider. The walls came up thin and even. My hands were steady. The clay did what I asked now. We understood each other. Outside, the light was turning orange. It was the end of the afternoon, the end of a Tuesday. I am 38 years old. Some people think that is late to start again, but I started, and I am only beginning. Thank you for listening to Haley's story. If this story touched your heart, please give this video a like and subscribe to Teddy English Stories. We share a new story every week just for you. See you next time.